Colin, what's on your mind?
My topic, my topic is film. I want to discuss film with you guys.
Oh, okay.
Joking, my topic is war. No, I'm just joking. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Not everybody has the same history as me with film. I think, especially with going to film school, not everybody's done that. But film just always meant so much to me. It was always so deep rooted. When I would watch something, it would stay with me just forever. And I don't know why I'm so visually consumptive, you know. I don't know, but I took a really deep dive into film school and watched a lot of films that I wouldn't recommend to other people, but I think were still integral in giving me an education as to what you can do with movies. I take it that your guys' history with film is unique to yourselves and prevalent. So maybe describe your history with film, what it means to you, whether it's more escapism or more like verite, art house films for you.
Yeah. Joey.
Thanks. Um, yeah, I definitely have not had the education that you have had. So you are the scholar amongst us in that regard. I really like looking at things as if it was a film or a movie. Even like when I was younger, and I think a lot of people do it, where you pretend, when raindrops are falling down the car window, you look outside, you pretend you're in a music video, like that kind of thing. But like to extent to where it's like everything was some type of storytelling, even like playing with like risk pieces, as I would end up creating this little live action movie for my siblings to watch with all the pieces and create this massive scale thing for them to watch, and I'd share the story and have them watch, and sometimes they'd even cry, which made me so happy. Like I was able to convey the story enough to make them feel emotionally tied to these little risk pieces. Yeah, but then I would sometimes it would be me that I'm just picturing through like, oh, this would have been great if I could somehow have just recorded this situation like from a third perspective or from my mind's eye. Or sometimes it'd be just me imagining, especially when I was younger, some imaginary person dealing with these different things. And I just sit there and imagine it. So I really liked watching movies. I really like creating it. I consume, like you were saying, consumptive. There's some things that I like to watch, but it's really just for pleasure. It's usually not for education. Of like, I want to watch this movie so that I can learn that style or anything like that. It's more just like, hey, I'm going to watch a movie because it's an enjoyable experience with my wife or with friends or whatever. Or like, I want to see how WandaVision ends, So it's been more for me always just about imagination versus the education of figuring out so I can better myself. Does that answer your question?
It does. And film has that right to be that for somebody. It doesn't always have to be educational, inspirational. It can just be shut my brain off for 2 hours.
Yeah, for me it was a way to an outlet for the imagination. Like the imagination had to go somewhere, so it was pretending things were in a movie.
No doubt. Yeah, it's not even shutting your brain off. It's plugging into something, right? I mean, you're engaging. That's why we're making it more and more engaging with, just 3D, 4D, anything else that we're virtual reality. It's becoming more and more.
Pretty soon 5D, where you can smell, the blood from a bullet wound, or Jack Black passes gas, and it's like,
yeah. Yeah. Nathan, what about you?
Nathan?
That's interesting that you guys say that. I definitely would act out scenes as a kid, and think of them as if they were a movie. But I think you guys both have more of a eye for filmmaking. Joey, you've even written novels or started. I don't know if you finished any, but it's not a dig. But you're a writer, and Colin, you've got an eye for making cinema, and that's something you want to do. And that is an interest of mine. But I think as a kid, for me, I identified with the characters, and I saw the actors themselves as heroes. So while some kids might have thought sports stars were cool, I thought the actors were cool. And the ones I thought were cool were mostly the classic ones, because that was what I grew up watching. My parents are older. I have older parents than most people my age do. And those movies tend to be cleaner. And so I watched those movies. And so those were my heroes. And I was always impressed by a performance. And I also saw, you can make me sound better in post, right?
Yeah.
I also
leave that for me.
I also saw, I don't remember what I was going to say. I also saw film as an opportunity to get talent on screen. So whether that be your acting, or whether that be your musicianship, or your film score. I love music, and so I always liked things with like Bing Crosby in them, where he played a musician and then he would get to be a musician and sing a song in a movie. And it was just like a vehicle for him to get to do the thing he was already most good at. So yeah, I would go around just practicing my death scenes, or practicing being a staggering drunk, or practicing my accents. I think for me it was TV more than film. I watched a lot more classic television than film, but yeah, I think that's probably my relation.
Yeah, I was going to say one thing that is cool is just how the way that we get to appreciate some things that not the average person watches. Not saying that, you know, we're above average or we're special or unique, but just with some of the experience that we've had with film and with movies and seeing the work that goes behind it. Shayla now, my wife, will watch a movie or a TV show and she'll catch things, or she'll make comments on things that I used to make comments on, and she'd always, you know, like,
Yeah.
you're ruining it or anything like that. But instead she now like participates and she's like, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense. Like, why would they have done that? Or I just saw that extra go by from the left. How are they going by from the left a second time? You know, like things.
Interesting.
Things like, so
Yeah.
it's fun.
There is something you lose if you get too academic about your media, but also there can be something you gain. Like, I can be completely distracted, or not distracted, but I like when I watch a Christopher Nolan movie and Hans Zimmer is doing the soundtrack, half of my brain is just like sitting there going like, this is so incredible, the soundtrack. And then my sister, I talked to her after the thing, and she's like, there was a soundtrack? and then she watches it again and she goes, Nathan, that's right. I'm glad I listened to that soundtrack. That was incredible and really added so much. And she didn't notice it because Hans Zimmer did such a good job with the soundtrack that it wasn't distracting. It was just an additional layer.
Yeah.
And
it's his music, and a lot of people that are really good at it are able to do that, where you don't notice, like, the music isn't injected to then make you feel something. The music, like, builds the emotion that you're already supposed to be feeling because of the movie, to where you don't even notice that the music is building the emotion you're already feeling.
Yeah. That's a good question though, Collin. I think we all bring something to it, and are able to make content in a unique way because we all have a unique experience with film.